on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram?
We are on Facebook. We are live on Facebook. Okay. I'm just explaining to Thabo that you are live on Facebook, and we are live. We are live on a Friday. Thank God. Thank God it's Friday, guys. Thank God it's Friday. Hello to you and yours, man. Happy Friday. Welcome to Friday. Welcome to what we call It's a Rap right here on Oran Pop in Chess. My name is Nkosi. I really appreciate you taking time out this afternoon to sit with us and I say dissect the happenings that took place this week and wrapping it up very nicely with us. I really appreciate you on our Pop's Facebook page. That's where we live, and also on our Twitter space. It is at @in_health, and on Instagram it is @popin. If you want to see the behind the scenes, www.popin.org. Go there to check us out and follow our content. We're also on TikTok. Our brand new TikTok account is waiting for you to just dive into it and share content. It is at Oran Popin, and today we are talking to our sibling out in the Northwest. He's my guest this afternoon. His name is Thabo Molisenyane. Thabo, good afternoon to you. How are you doing?
Hi, V. I'm good, thanks. And how about V?
I am great. I'm excited that I'm talking to you today. I'm excited, and yeah, man, I look forward to our chat.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm also
listen. Let me tell you. Come again.
I'm saying I'm also looking forward to the chat.
Most definitely. We literally have 30 minutes or so to get into the headlines, because that's what we do right here on It's a Rap. We look at the week's headlines, and with our guest, we then talk about the headlines, and then we get to, take it a bit further to conversate about what our guest is doing. Speaking of that, let me just quickly tell our viewers who you are. So Thabo Molisenyane is an Oram employee at Klexdorp. I hope I said that right. It's in the Northwest, right? Yes. And besides his job, besides his job description, he has a company as a social scientist. I want to get into that of what is a social scientist. A digital content producer. He offers services as a motivational speaker, MC, program director. He is also a consultant, also consulting on digital marketing and facilitating. Furthermore, as an alternative media platform for mainstream media, he has his own Facebook talk show where he regularly invites local hustlers who play a positive role in society in their respectful field as productive citizens who facilitate in making South Africa a better place at the ground level from our townships. Additionally, he writes, has hosted seminars since 2017. He mentors and has appeared as a guest on a local radio station as a regular motivational speaker for the past 8 years. Also, he has launched his first motivational book. It's called SOMA, which is State of the Motivation Address. And I think it's quite fitting because our headline that we're starting with is SONA from the president. Once again, Thabo, happy Friday, and thank you so much for your time. I want to talk about SOMA, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Let's break it down. Let's start with SONA. And I think I'm speaking to you rightfully so, and I want you to wear your motivational speaking head, because I think from there, that's when you can be quite analytical when we look at what the SONA has been like. In your view, did the SONA meet the expectations of us as the youth, or did it have us as the youth in its mind, or when it was written by the president, especially with unemployed youth?
Honestly speaking, I don't think it did. Our expectations were not met. Why I'm saying that is because I think it was just a business as usual, a copy and paste. When you look in January 2018, the president made promises. He said he's going to create millions of jobs. And the following year, in May 2019, he promises to give us 1 million jobs for the youth. And in October, 18th of October in 2020, he promised us 800,000 jobs. So I don't think he did meet our expectations, because I felt like he was supposed to say, guys, I made these promises in 2019, in 2020, in 2018, and this is how far we are now in creating those jobs, rather than giving us false hopes, you know. So honestly speaking, personally for me, I don't think the president did give us something to look forward to. I believe he was supposed to tell us how far are they in making us realizing the promises that they made a few years ago. And he said something, I don't know what to say. Is it interesting or is it funny? I don't know. He said the government, he said the government doesn't create jobs.
No, businesses create jobs.
The private sector does. Sure, but from 2018 when he was making promises, was he making promises on behalf of the private sector?
No,
or the government? It has to be the government. But then he comes yesterday and then he says the government doesn't create jobs, the private sector does. And to take the statement further, he went further to say it will take years for the private sector to create jobs for millions of South Africans. What is the message then? I think the president was just saying, guys, you know what? They are not jobs.
And he was basically also saying that, guys, you're on your own, because I mean that back and forth between who's responsible for creating jobs in South Africa and who should actually take accountability, it is quite spread far apart. He's promising jobs, but then he goes on to say that jobs won't be created by the government. Jobs are supposed to be created by the private sector. We don't know who. Okay, maybe we might know who this private sector is, but then yet again, this private sector will then need time to create jobs for millions of South Africans. It's quite tricky what he's doing, but I think you're right. It was business as usual. Do you think that there was much consideration given to youth, especially when you look at the social ills? I think one being unemployment and other things as well in between. You might look at, first of all, youth unemployment. You might look at free education, that is still a contagious issue. When you look at other things, like students that are in debt and graduates that are not finding jobs. All these, some drug abuse, because I think South Africa is one of those places where drug abuse, especially in communities, is quite rough. So we are faced with a lot of social ills as young people, where we want to say it. So the State of the Nation address didn't address such issues, but also a lot of promises were made.
I think the youth is not the target market when we speak about the State of Nation address. We are not the target market. I think the sauna is conquer of its own. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. So I don't think he did address those issues. Let us. Besides motivational speaking, I work as a data catcher for the Orange Institute, like you mentioned, and then I work with numbers. Let us look at the numbers. The first one being the unemployment rate that we're currently sitting at, especially our young people. Our young people are not working. And did he address that? Personally, I don't think he did. He mentioned the 10,000 jobs creation for, I think it was the Home Affairs something. I mean, when you say you are creating 10,000 jobs, out of millions of young people who are unemployed, it does not make any difference at all. So he didn't address that those social illnesses that we are facing as young people. Let us look at the issue of drug abuse, the high number of accidents that are caused by the young people who are abusing drugs, who are abusing alcohol. He didn't mention those things that are affecting us daily. And I want to say something. I was a treasurer go Youth in Business South Africa, Northwest, and our president said something yesterday. He said since from 2019 he has been making recommendations to the presidency, but nothing that was said to him. There was no feedback. There was nothing. It shows the young people of this country not a priority to the president or to the cabinet. So the president didn't, honestly speaking, address those social illnesses that we are facing as young people, that we are facing as a country. And then I think that the number one is the issue of unemployment. We must deal with the issue of unemployment. And number two being on this field of HIV and AIDS. As the issue of HIV and AIDS, we have to make awareness. We have to have programs that make awareness, that say people, look, this thing is real. Look at the numbers. I think we are somewhere in top 3 in the whole world. Got the highest number of people who are living with HIV and AIDS, and that's a very serious.
Yeah, well, I also have a gripe to pick with him, Thabo, because my gripe is, you look at the LGBTQI plus community, he's never mentioned that. You look at the issue of the 350 that is now extended until 2023 March. You look at that, I feel as if for me that is, we are backsliding. We are not, instead of us dealing with issues, we are just, battering whatever issues that we have, and we're not really diving into, understanding what the issues are and how we can better, come up with solutions. In him mentioning that the private sector is the sort of like job maker, I feel as if businesses, small businesses that are in communities are not being given the attention that they deserve to be given. So for me, it's a lot of issues that I certainly have or had when I was listening to the State of the Nation address. You're right when you say it was business as usual, and I think a lot of us agree with you in that case. Let me quickly look at the comment section, and then I want to then speak about your State of the Motivation address, and because it is a book, I'm interested to find out what kind of issues do you deal with in your book, and how did it come about? If you just joined us, welcome to it. When we call this, it's a rare thing today. We are joined by our sibling. He's known as Mr. M, all the way in look at Limpopo, in the northwest, in Glasgow, and he's an employee of Oram, and man, he does data. So when he speaks numbers, he knows what he's talking about, especially when it comes to HIV. I didn't even realize that we're sitting on number 3, Thabo. So it's quite startling. So let's go to the comment section on Facebook. Okay, Alex is amazing and giving us there dancing. I'm seeing a lot of love emojis popping up on my screen and like emojis popping up on my screen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate that. Do that and more. Follow our content on social media platforms. On the TikTok, we are at Oram Pop, and on Twitter it is at @in_health. You can also check out this conversation on the space, and let me check that out. Thank you so much for tuning in on our space. Let's talk about you now and the State of Motivation address. What is that? You are saying it's a book. What is the book about? I think it's self-explanatory, but give us the sense of what the book is about and how did it come about.
Okay, thank you so much. I call it Motivation in Your Pocket. It's a very small book that consists 31 daily doses of motivation. So it's a pick-me-up book. You wake up in the morning, you read a portion, you go to work, and then you come back, you read the same portion that you read in the morning, you meditate upon it. And just for 31 days, I think it will address something in your life.
So then who is it for? So it's a pick-me-up. I think everybody needs a pick-me-up, especially in the morning, because some of us are not morning people. We struggle very much in the morning. But how did it come about? Were you experiencing something yourself? Come again?
I was saying, Oswana, you need to defrost in the morning.
Yeah, we're not morning people. Unless if I've had my coffee or had my sparkling water, then I can start functioning. So it's that kind of a ball game. So how did it come about? Did it come about because you needed a pick me up, or you saw somebody that needed a pick me up, and you're like, there's the market. Let me write a book.
Okay. I started doing motivational speaking around 2013. So I was actually writing on my Facebook page and on WhatsApp, writing motivations and sending motivations to people each and every day. And then since 2015, I was thinking, man, how about I make a business out of this thing? Meaning write a book, the content that you're putting on Facebook, put it in a book and sell a book. And then I said, okay, I will do that, but I didn't have that motivation. I needed someone to push me, you know. And then in 2020, in fact, I met someone in 2019. How did we meet? He was mentoring someone that I know, and then he's an author. So I bought a book from him. We met just for me to get the book, and then we communicated, and then he saw my content, we spoke about it, and then he said to me, man, I think you need to write a book. So that's when it was in November 2020. Yeah, when COVID was serious, when COVID was really serious. And then he said, I think you need to write a book. And then I said to him, it's something that I've been thinking about for years. And then let me go and think about like thoroughly so. And then I said, okay, I have content, I have something to put on the book, then why not? So Tabaya the book, and then in October 2020, I started writing the book. I think it took me between 3 to 4 months to complete the book because it's not a big book. Like I mentioned, it's just daily doses of motivation on the book. So that's where I got the idea of a book. And then the name. Remember that in 2020, now and then the president was addressing us. Now and then the president was addressing us. And then I said, how about a bit of motivation address? Yeah.
Got you. Listen, I like how you're saying daily dose of motivation. I think we all need those. And you touched on Facebook and how you then had content on Facebook and WhatsApp, and now you need to sort of like transcribe that or translate that from Facebook to now a book. Define to us based on sort of like the interaction that you had, because what your Facebook page or Facebook show is you inviting hustlers. So perhaps let me define to us, based on those interactions, when you ask those people or those hustlers the question of saying, what is a hustler? What do you get? What do they tell you? What is their definition of a hustler? Or what do you make of, all those interactions and, put them together and say, from these interactions, this is what a hustler is?
Okay. A hustler, personally for me, is someone who knows no limits.
Yeah.
It's someone who doesn't take a no for a permanent answer. That's a simple definition a hustler. It's someone who doesn't know limits. It's someone who doesn't take a no permanently as an answer. So now going back to the show, and you see the world is fastly moving, and then I think we are moving to the digital world now.
Yeah.
When you look at the numbers, I think the radio, honestly speaking, the radio is slowly dying. We have moved now to these talks, Facebook talks, Insta, Twitter. The radio is slowly dying. And then where I am from, I don't want to say it's a disadvantaged community or location, but it's just that the information is not shared, you understand? So I then sit down with myself and say, okay, what can I do to promote what I call hustlers around Kasiaka? I then said, okay, how about Mr. M Facebook Talks? I invite hustlers, they come, they talk about what they do, they talk about Bona, and then we add Spicyana there, Sagosti, Sinyana Emnati, just to make it more interesting, because it's not everyone alone is more into hustling. Some Babatla content, you understand?
Yeah.
So
So some are doing it for the content, and I want us to also touch on the content a bit later on if time permits, and talk about if content can bring revenue, because I think another thing that you are touching on when you speak about hustlers is somebody who doesn't take no for a definite answer, and I think we're getting a lot of no's. That's why we need to be creative, and survive and feed ourselves. Let's talk about what do hustlers have in mind, or what is that one thing that they have as a common thing among themselves as hustlers?
Okay. There are two types of hustlers, ne? They are the working hard type, and then they are working smart type.
Right.
I'm just gonna make an example. When you when you can go to university or college or a high school now, and then you ask for two learners, learner A being an A student, and then learner B being an E or F student. Basically, that's one Otolam 2 out of 10. And then the other one is the one Otolam 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
When you are having a conversation with an A student, when you are saying to an A student, you must work hard, you're going to kill that person because he's a smart person. Hard to work hard since high. He's a thinker, he's a smart person. So to that person, you don't say work hard, you say work smart. But when you go to a B, to another student, all is getting 9, is getting 1 out of 10. When you sit down with that student and say to him or her, you must study hard, you are killing that person. He's not a study person. I mean, honestly speaking, education is not for all of us. There are people who should be told you must work hard. There are those who must be told you must study hard. So when you are saying to a learner, when he's anti-education, the formal education, you must study hard, you are killing that person. Now coming back to an issue, a hustler, like I mentioned, normally the hard-working hustler, the one who pushanka hard work. This hustler and try to bang at hard work. When we talk admin, so that we can do admin for you. And then there's a hustler, he's a smart person. He's a person behind the idea. When I say I want to start a podcast, he's the person behind the podcast. For the ideas, what can I do? But he cannot be hands-on. So those are two types of hustlers. The smart hustler, or the mind, and then the hard-working hustler, or the physical.
Got you. It makes sense, that analogy. I am following. I sort of now understand. I want you to then answer this. Do you think that then whether they're working hard or they're working smart, is hustling then going to address social ills, right? Is hustling an answer to unemployment, for instance? Do you think that hustling or being a hustler can deal with the high numbers of unemployment?
To a certain degree, it will. Because when you start, it's very difficult. I mean, you need resources. You need to register your company. You need to do your marketing. And then you need money for you to do those things. And then if you don't have any stable income, you're not going to realize that dream. So answering your question, hustling, more especially when you start, it's very difficult. That's why we have a lot of young people back from the hustling zone, because they feel there is no support. And honestly speaking, the government doesn't help us. When you talk about hustlers and the government helping, those are two different issues. And then I don't see the government coming down to the level that the hustlers, most especially those working hard ones. I think they give attention to those smart ones. Why am I saying that? You check as the young people who are into agriculture and all that. Yes, the government is paying attention, but not that attention compared to those who are in IT,
science,
engineering, and all those things. You understand?
Yeah.
And science, you understand? So the attention is not the same. Now, going back to your question, hustling can be an answer to the high rate of unemployment. But here's the challenge. When you start, it's tough. It's very difficult. Because there is no financial support. You understand? And then when you start, you need financial support. So it can be an answer, but up to a certain level.
Listen, I have someone who is doing a study in mining, right? And I'm quite interested to pick his brain on both the State of the Nation address and, queer issues. But also, I want to pick his brain on this hustling notion. And if he bumped into people that are sort of like hustling in the mine. And I cannot wait for that conversation. So stick around for that as you tune into, Pop in Chats. Let's quickly look at the comment sections. If you just joined us, I'm joined via stream by Mr. M. He's probably known as that. His name is Thabo Molisenyane. He does data for our sibling sister company branch in the Northwest, and he's joining me, and we're speaking on, we spoke about the State of the Nation address. He gave me his sense, and we're talking now about hustling because he has a Facebook page, or a Facebook page show that speaks about, or he invites hustlers and they speak about hustling, and doing amazing, and from grassroots level, from community level, or from township level, and playing their part as we created the South Africa. Let's quickly look at the comment section. Rami Chikila, I hope I'm saying that right, says Rekeni. Of course, Rekeni. Every time when I read Tswana, Mr. M, I'm reminded of Muzwedin. I don't know how, I don't know why. But Rekeni, I think Rami, right?
Yeah, that's my name too.
Oh, okay. Vince SP comes and says, radio is not dying. If you were to check the listenership, it hasn't been affected for the past 10 years. We just have to be able to use radio as young people. Okay. Apparently, for the past 10 years, radio has not been shaken. But Vince, I think radio has been challenged, though. And radio has. This is a radio personality in me talking. Radio has been challenged though with the current ways or streams of listening or of getting content. You look at podcasts, you look at YouTube, you look at TikTok, you look at other means of us receiving information away from radio. So that would then make radio a bit challenged. I'm not sure about listenership, but I think I think to be corrected, I think Nkosi FM still is holding it down in terms of being the biggest radio station in the country. But then I will have to look at those numbers for the past 10 years. Actually, look at the current numbers and compare them to the previous numbers of last year and see where we are sitting with radio. And when you say young people need to know how to use radio, how do we do that? Do we create radio? Do we, go on the current radio stations and demand space? What do we do? How do we come about then, to make radio work for us or to use radio in that context? Koza Isaiah Zoa Senior says, I think he wanted to say, or they wanted to say, I like you too much, but they say, I like too much. I don't know how to read that. Honorable Mongezi Lumo says, you are making sense, Mr. M, and I agree, especially when you defined the hustler mentality and working smart and working hard. You sort of get that as well. Comes back again and says, great content. Thank you so much. We aim to please right here on Aura Pop in chats, especially for It's a Rap Man. Also check out Clinical Monday, where we have all things clinical. Midnight Essay, brother. I think he's in Mamelodi. I'm not sure if he's in Mamelodi or if he's in Limpopo. He's a DJ. Check him out. He plays for shows like Mutswedi, shows in Mutswedi and other stations as well. Yeah. He says yes. I think he's saying.
I know his music.
Come again.
I was saying I'm a follower of his music.
Yeah, he's quite amazing. Let's talk about content creation. We literally have about 5 minutes. Let's talk about content creation. And, as a content producer yourself, does content creation have money? And I think I speak largely because you look at the landscape of content. We started with slay queens, we started with influencers, now people are content curators. Is there money in this content creation, content producing business that you are in and about?
100%. There's money. Yeah, there's money in content creation. Look, you can just create an account, have 10K followers, no content, and sell the account. So I'm just trying to show you there's money in there. So yeah, there's money in content. There's money in content creation. I was listening to a certain podcast a few weeks ago. Apparently, influencers most are so-called content creators. So there's a certain radio station. It is paying a certain influencer 60K just to write crap about the podcast. It shows that there's money there. So yeah, there's money.
There's definitely money. I get what you're saying. I remember that conversation as I was like even shocked. I was like, oh, okay, is that where we're going now? We're using influencers to, and I mean, hey, we're not disputing how they make their money. Let them make their money. But yeah, well, I think we just have to be careful in this industry of content creation. Then with you, why did you choose motivational speaking? A lot of young people will tell you, I'd rather choose something else, not so much about motivating people. And he's laughing. Why did you choose motivation? What about motivational speaking that spoke to you, Mr. M, and said, you know what, come here, have me, do me. Okay. Have me. Wow,
If I was a typical motivational speaker, I would say I didn't choose motivational speaking. Motivational speaking chose me.
Chose you. The famous line. It's like even with DJs. No. Listen, it's even with DJs. Mr. M, that they will tell you that musicians, like I didn't choose music. Music chose me. Or I started singing from the age of 2, and you're like, what? Really? Where?
I would say no. You know what? I started my Facebook talks with Samsung E250. Yeah, bro. During those days, there was no Facebook talks. Come on.
Hectic. Yeah.
Right. Let me just try to go back in shortly and tell you what happened. I had a friend, and he was a white friend. He was into I forgot the term, but something marketing. Those Inuka, the Herbalife, something. So he was selling products, and then he sent me a message and said, I have these products. Let's meet. I want you to try them. And then I said, okay, no problem. We met in town. We had a conversation. He gave me products. And then I said, okay, I will use them. I got home. When I got home, I found a disc inside the package. And then it was a disc, Leslie Brown, the motivational speaker, titled, "It is not over until I win." And then the following day, I went to work, got a disc here on the PC, got track 3, each 7 minutes. So basically, it was motivation and then speaking about not being over until you win. And then since from that day, I started writing daily motivations, and then I developed that passion for motivational speaking. And then I've always been a bubbly person, a speaking person, so it will be easy for me to go there. So it was more the issue of motivational speaking, and then maybe a year or 2 after that, I then registered my company.
Got you. Listen, I think you are a bright someone. I want us to continue the conversation, but time doesn't permit me. We went all way, I think about 2-3 minutes on the agreed time, and I have to go. I got to, and I also have to let you go. But I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I want us to have a part 2. I don't know when. Let me quickly go to the comment sections before I let you go and see what the masses are saying. Benjamin Obuti Chweu says, just popped in, but I'm here now. You've missed out, my brother, but nonetheless, this conversation will be packaged very nicely by Facebook, and you can definitely listen in and at your own convenience, and you would definitely catch up on what we were speaking about. Nisi Pagwe says, amazing, and a round of applause. Thank you so much, Nisi, for tuning in, and Kaling Maria Mulupi. I hope I'm saying that right. They say great session, and thank you so much.
That's my tea as well.
Oh, these people. See, now Mr. M has brought his people out. But in closing, must you always stay positive? And this, I think, is an exit for you to us in motivating us as you sum it up. Must we stay positive?
No.
Why?
I'm getting there. There's being negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's being positive, right? Mm-hmm. And then we neglect the most important one, which is being realistic. So don't be negative, don't be positive, be realistic.
Why don't you give you the horns, but I don't have the horns yet?
I will give you the horns, man. I will give you the horns, man.
Give yourselves the horns. Yeah, no, I got you. Listen, thank you so much. I definitely look forward to this. I think we should keep you on as a regular contributor to our feature. On one of these Fridays, randomly just pop in and give us motivation. We'll also look into that. I would definitely love for you to do that. And I think I'm just making you commit live so that we don't have some like behind the scenes conversations of not agreeing. So I think we definitely have you on that. Listen, Mr. M, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I will see you when you come back and continue motivating, continue doing amazing. Send our love to our siblings out in Kronstadt. Is it Kronstadt? Let's go. I've been saying Limpopo, I've been saying a lot of things, but hey, I got it right. There in the Northwest, and thank you so much. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. And have yourselves a beautiful Friday.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, much appreciated, and looking forward to join you guys.
Yet again, yeah, most definitely. That is Mr. M on the stream, wrapping up the week the best way we know how, right here on Oran Pop and Chats. We call this It's a Wrap. Listen, man, I've had fun. And yeah, it's always good when you laugh with a guest. Hey? It's always good. I enjoyed that and got some motivation while I did it. I'm gonna see you on Monday, the Valentine's edition. Valentine's is coming. Do you have a Valentine? Do you have a lover? I'm kidding. Do you have a Valentine? If you don't have a Valentine, I'm gonna see you on Monday because then I do not have a Valentine. I'll be speaking to my favorite clinicians, the Mpumangai from Etigwini will be joining me. Thokozani Madozela from Etlazeli will be joining me. My favorite of all time, Slama Paseka Mabela, will be joining me. And also Buhle Chachi from Oran Pop and Swane. We are speaking all things STIs and condoms because it will be Valentine's Day and people will not want to use condoms. So it's that conversation. Make sure that you are part of it. And I'm going to see you there.